Wait, who's calling me? No one's calling me. Call Austin, he's crying. Why are you saying that? Austin is rat. Oh, he is calling me. Hey, Austin.
Mike.
Can I just say one thing? Why do people hate me so much?
Yes. People hate you a lot.
Well, I mean, I just feel like I didn't get invited back on Hassan's stream, and my analysis was completely right. And I was like, kind of a little bit. I felt a little bit hated at that point. I felt a little bit like I was being,
first of all,
ignored.
I didn't have any analysis to give. I needed to sleep.
I know, I get it. No, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for even bringing this up. I'm just being extra. I'm just being raw right now. I'm just being raw. And like,
no, and I understand you feel vindicated because, look, here's my thing. I've spent the morning look, I don't need to apologize for shit.
No, Austin should never apologize for anything.
No,
you did everything right.
I came on this stream.
You did everything fucking right.
I said she was running a shitty campaign. Where I was wrong is I thought that Trump's shittier campaign would lose. That's what I thought.
If every lib was like Austin, we would have won every state. That's the reality.
I literally said she was running a shitty campaign. And I just thought my calculation was that the shittier campaign would lose. And I was wrong. And I've spent the morning talking to my parents and saying, instead of getting upset with the fact that people didn't show up for like Kamala Harris or didn't turn out, ask yourself, what reason did they give for those people to come turn out? And of course, we have important issues that are going to get fucking worse because of insanely bad Trump administration on LGBTQ people and the rights of women. These things are going to be insanely, it's going to get insanely worse. But if you're a disenfranchised voter who has been for generations or the last several elections, your life has not gotten any better. In fact, it's probably gotten worse. What the fuck do you have to lose? And as a result of that, you get people that, I'm not saying they're going out and voting for Trump, but they have disengaged from the process and they aren't showing up for your candidate because you have given them no reason to do so. So yes, are we a transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, racist country? Abso-fucking-lutely. But calling that out as the reason as to why we lost exclusively will only cause us to lose elections more in the future. It'll only cause us to lose more and more elections. We will continue to be fucking losers. Instead, we need to come up with policy positions that aren't just to the center, but actually give people hope for change in their lives. And at this point, the Democratic Party did not do that. They did not do that with Kamala Harris. They took the mandate of 2020. They said they thought it was a mandate for Joe Biden when it was a mandate against Donald Trump. And they ran the same fucking platform because they thought that Joe Biden was fucking a popular president, despite him being historically unpopular in every poll known to mankind. Instead of running away from him, she ran exactly towards him. Right. It was and we all saw it happening. The calculation I made was that his campaign was worse. And it was fucking worse. It was objectively fucking awful. And it's terrible. And we are all going to suffer because of it. But my point is, it is not productive to sit here and be like, we didn't make any mistakes. We didn't do anything wrong. Like all these fucking idiots on MSNBC are talking about. If we have that mentality, we're only going to continue to lose.
I just pulled up a picture of you from Google. I hope you don't mind.
Sure.
If you want a different picture, do you have one?
No, that's fine.
I'm just okay. I was obviously going a little bit too far, chat. I was trying to take advantage. I was trying to take advantage of. You look really hot in that photo. So
I'm all for it. But literally, I'm upset. But in a weird way, I do have some. I do have some
bones to pick with me.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting here, but
well, let me say something in response to what you're saying, which is I really do appreciate you, one, for coming on so many times and challenging my assumptions and making me be better at my data and my analysis. And I think like a lot of the things we wouldn't know until election day actually happened. But I was just always operating under the idea that I hadn't seen any changes in the polls that would indicate that they had successfully figured out how to display the shy Trump voter, which we knew from 2 previous presidential elections consistently was showing up between like 3 and 5% more Trumpian than the polls showed. And there was nothing being done that I saw that was making up for that. So I always thought the polls were probably biased against Trump. And I never, and I looked at the public polling. I said they were always hurting Kamala Harris at between 47 and 49%. And that seems to be what was happening. They were actually boosting Harris, ironically, rather than boosting Trump, which is what everybody wanted to believe. And I think, and as far as like the analysis that I want to raise to you, and then you can take the ball, which is Donald Trump actually, his voter total went down from 2020.
Yes.
Kamala Harris's voter total went catastrophically down from 2020.
Yes.
It was a loss of the Democratic base, not Trump getting a whole bunch of new voters.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, is that they did not turn out their base. And then you look at yourself and you're like, wait, the country didn't move farther to the right. You just left behind a bunch. You left behind a significant part of your electorate because they stopped giving a shit. Because like, look, like they're and the issue is with the American voter is that like we are as a voting like group, we're just uneducated and fucking stupid. So the American voter is going to look in front of them and they're going to be like, oh, inflation high, prices high, economy bad, president vote against. That's the process of the American voter, and that is like and so like, which is unfortunate, but the problem is
okay. So like obviously we can't test this. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead and finish it. I'll
just say, for that reason, you should run away from the guy that was president when all of these things were happening. Like, she should have been shitting on Biden, right? Like,
well, that's what I called for right away. I mean,
no Democrat's not going to vote for her. Going to vote for over. Like, there's no like.
He's a loser.
Like, riding with Biden Democrats.
He's a loser.
Nobody liked him in 2020 when we voted. Nobody was excited to vote for him in 2020. And that's what's so crazy to me, Mike, is that the Democratic Party, like, I don't know if this is true, but I would speculate that her campaign was filled with Biden loyalists or people that were.
It was. They basically
ran the Biden campaign.
Basically, what happened is when he stepped down, all the senior Biden staff just became her staff, and she didn't really. She's not much of a leader, in which we saw that in and listen, I'm going to be very abrupt. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because she lost, and this is adulthood, okay? If you guys need time to mourn, I respect that, but I'm not one of those people. She was a bad leader, and she demonstrated she had no proven track record of beating a contested election. She is a machine politician from San Francisco, and then she got, California's statewide office as a Democrat. She never really demonstrated a strong ability to campaign in contested elections. And then she ran in 2020 as the out and out Democratic Party insider favorite. I don't know if you remember 2019 at all, as far as like the primary, but all the insiders, she was the person that all the insiders were trying to coalesce behind. Like bunch of DC consultants. There was a poll of like DC consultants, and there was like 60% of them were behind Kamala Harris. She was the it person for the DC commentariat. 538 was like saying she was the top draft pick to win the Democratic nomination. There was many examples of that. And what happened is when she actually got into the campaign, one, she was not good at actually communicating her message. She was incapable of like kind of finding a lane. And she always took very risk averse things. Like the one thing she landed and she almost became a front runner was when she called out Joe Biden for opposing busing, because she was at a desegregated school when she was growing up. She was bused. And so he opposed busing of black kids into, to desegregate school districts. He opposed that in Delaware. And she said, I was one of those girls that you would keep from school was me. And she blew up in popularity. But the moment people started going, wow, Kamala Harris is talking tough with race and is confronting Joe Biden's background and like, having a progressive message, she immediately balked and she got scared and she ran away from it. And when she ran away from that progressive message that was working so well, she face planted and she didn't even make it to Iowa. And let's not forget, the reason why she was picked as VP in the first place is because Joe Biden said two racist things back to back within the last couple of weeks of the campaign. Last couple of weeks before the convention. He said that if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That was and then he also said that rich kids. He said poor kids are just as bright as white kids, implying that poor kids are non-white.
Oh, Jesus.
And so he said those things back to back. So he needed somebody who was, he needed a black person basically to help cover up those racial gaffes that he just did. And so he picked Kamala Harris out of the refuse pile. And he was never really a Kamala Harris fan. He basically put her aside, and she wasn't politically astute enough to actually challenge him. And so she just kind of sat as a marginalized non-entity the entire presidency. And the only reason we have him, or we have her as a nominee, and this is me just describing reality. If you don't like what I'm saying, eat shit and die, because this is what happened. And you need to grow up. So the only reason we got her is because they were worried that if they had an open primary, if we had an open primary with a bunch of Democratic politicians with talent running against Biden, first of all, he'd lose. And it's very likely that the person that would get rid of him, replace him, would be to his left. So the Democratic Party and their donors locked down the primary process. They got rid of it in Florida. Like, look what happened to Florida. It's the reddest it's ever been.
Miami-Dade County flipped red.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at this map of the. I have a map. It's not complete yet because I don't think all the votes have been counted in the West Coast. But you can see
how many points did he win it by?
I think remember when people were saying Florida was going to flip? I offered someone a $10,000 bet on Florida. They didn't take it.
I know.
Unfortunately.
I was okay. In 2020, I was sipping the Kool-Aid and thinking maybe Texas and Florida would flip. But in my defense, this election, I actually got it wrong. I thought Texas was going to vote to the right, to the left of Florida, but Texas went back to their roots.
56% Donald Trump with 99% reporting in Florida.
So he won it by 13%.
Yeah.
And he won Texas by 14?
Hold on. Oh no, he got 56. 56 in Texas and 56.1 in Florida, 56.3 in Texas right now.
Well, my hope, and I think you and Hassan have this disagreement, is my hope is that from this will rise a better platform on the Democratic Party. That's what I hope will happen. And people will organize, and they will realize their mistakes, and they will rise. But it's tough, Mike, because you know what?
Oh, by the way, I'm not being mean to Austin. By the way, I'm talking to you, chatters. Austin would never be offended by what I'm saying. Austin gets the way I talk. He knows I'm not yelling at him.
Well, I mean, Hassan and I are podcast co-hosts. Of course, he talks like this. But my point is. The problem with that is that the Democrats, I do see a world where they could win another election by making the same shitty mistakes that they continue to make. If Trump is because Americans, again, vote on one issue, and that's the economy. And if Trump passes this tariff tax plan, it's going to get really bad. If people lose healthcare, it's going to get really bad. Americans a lot of people, specifically in Donald Trump's constituency, will feel disproportionately the effects of another Trump presidency if he passes all the things that he wants to pass and they repeal the things that they want to repeal. So there is a world in which the Democrats could do the exact same thing that they did in this election and win again. The problem is they're only setting themselves up to fucking lose in another election or two. Right. So that's what I'm saying. And that's probably why Hassan's lost hope is that I believe that if Trump gets in office or when he's in office, now he's in office, that he actually probably if he passes all the things that he says he's going to pass, and do all the things he says he's going to do, it's going to get really bad for a lot of fucking people. And I think that people will just do what Americans do and vote the other direction. And it will energize the Democratic base like it did in 2020, and they will vote the other direction. Godspeed if the economy is good. That's all I can say.
See, the problem is we don't really have a lot of pickup opportunities in 2026 in the Senate, chat. I mean, North Carolina and Maine are probably the top.
What about the House?
I don't know if we know what's going on in the House quite yet. I think it's still.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I will say though, like if we get down to it, like I don't know. I mean, I know Republicans, and Republicans like do. They are like at the end of the day, like they are pro like big business, and like I don't think that a tariff will be that popular amongst like these big corporations, and I feel like that he may struggle to pass some of these things and get it through the House, right? Because there's like probably a lot more moderate Republicans that may not like that if he's got a narrow margin in the House.
So I want to say something. I completely agree with you, Austin, that if Donald Trump actually enacts the policies that are part of Project 2025, or even a more moderate version of Project 2025, that it's going to be incredibly unpopular and incredibly damaging to the economy. And I think that the other thing to keep in mind is he's an automatic lame duck, meaning he's not running for re-election. So instantaneously, Republicans have to start jockeying for his. Who's going to be the net? Is it going to be JD Vance? Is JD Vance going to be the clear frontrunner? Are there going to be challenges to JD Vance as the torchbearer of Trumpism? Is JD Vance going to become more popular or less popular? And like, what are the events that are going to take place? And I agree with you about the thermostatic effect. That's what you're talking about, like the backlash. I think if you're a lib, or you're a Democrat, or you're a normal human being, Donald Trump has won because Kamala Harris did not offer an alternative and a reason to get out there and vote. And the Democratic Party, they did a genocide. And they lost Michigan because they lost those key Muslim and Arab and Lebanese American groups that just didn't show up for them. It may not have been the full margin, but that and the ally and a lot of other people who just didn't show up and didn't vote third party, didn't show up at all. And you know, young people felt disillusioned. I made a post earlier, and it was like the Democrats banned TikTok, called young.
Oh shit! Can you hear me chewing? I'm sorry.
Honestly didn't bother me, but the chatters.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even notice. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was eating pizza right before you called.
No, you're good.
It's
I
fine.
realized that you can hear me smacking on wheat thins.
And it's just the reality is that politics keeps going. You know, I know a lot of people said this is fascism, this is the end of democracy. Well, it's not. Until we give in, until we give up, it's not. We will have opportunity to try to win back a big House majority. We'll try to make some gains in the Senate. Hopefully things end up, you know, I think I heard Slot Kid took the lead in Michigan, and Baldwin took the lead in Wisconsin again. So it's not as catastrophic as we thought in the Senate. But it does look like, you know, Bob Casey is probably not going to be able to hold, which will be a catastrophic defeat. To lose a Pennsylvania Senate seat is a catastrophic defeat.
Yeah, especially and that Kamala Harris dragged him down.
And he, you know, the Caseys were basically untouchable. Like, if you said, Mike, which senator are you the most confident is going to win? I would have said Bob Casey. Like, that's how bad the Democrats did last night.
Oh, it's a bloodbath.
The AP hasn't called it yet. McCormick is currently up by it looks like 48,000 votes. I mean, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I the way that I deal with sort of, I mean, like I allow myself to be sad for a second, and mourn. And I'm a little like disillusioned for like a brief period of time. But then I'm like, well, time to fucking control what I can control. and do what I can do, and now put my head down and get to work. You know, I mean, that's the only thing I can really do at this point. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think
back to work, back to you know, you don't fucking give up and throw in the fucking towel. I mean, just gotta keep, you know, and I hope, you know, you gotta have hope. You gotta have some hope that there's certain things that can, you know.
BDHQ is giving Casey a 53% chance of winning. Oh my god, that would be amazing. I would be so excited if that happened.
I'm not gonna stop being gay. I'm not gonna stop talking and representing gay people, you know, and I'm gonna be loud and I'm gonna be proud from it. You know, because I have a position of privilege. I have a very big position of privilege, right? I'm white passing, straight passing. I happen to be gay. I live in a blue state, but there's a lot of people probably in this chat that live in red states where they're not able to be out and they're not able to be proud. So there's just a lot of, you know, I just got to continue to be a representative for those people and, make people laugh, and then hopefully the next time that we can vote, we can, you know, we can do something about it, and hopefully the party will, with that, change the way that they approach voters and change the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're totally right, and I love your call to action, and my heart does go out to the comrades and friends and viewers and everybody who's in states where they won't be safe and aren't safe, and where there's going to be an uncaring federal government. I mean, it's not like Joe Biden was an advocate for you, but compared to being actively hostile, it's not good.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I don't want people to misconstrue what I said about, like, let's just go out and vote. Like, we didn't completely fucking fumble the bag as Democrats. Like, the Democratic Party didn't fumble the bag. These things go hand in hand. We advocate and push for a different platform of the Democratic Party, while simultaneously having optimism and hope that when we go out and vote, that we can, you know, elect some people in Congress that can at least temporarily hold off Donald Trump until we can maybe elect another president of some sort.
think there's still hope the Dems take the House, right? Guys,
I don't know.
I haven't been looking, but I think there is a chance the Dems do. No, really?
I don't think so. Everything that I read, that it says it's unlikely.
The Republicans are going to have trifecta?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're favored barely, but they're favored. I mean, in this environment, like, not one thing has gone our way. You wouldn't expect that to change.
Man, if the Democrats don't hold the House, if they don't pick up the House, I mean, that would be incredible. Is there any chance of term limits being repealed? No. Require a constitutional amendment. Okay, we can't hear your chips now. One thing I would say, one thing I would say, I favored 2017, 2016. Actually, last I saw, that counts. That fucking counts. House, Senate, Presidency, Supreme Court, State Legislature. Why do you guys think term limits would help the left? Why do you think term limits would help the left?
Yeah, so every 4 years we could fucking get our ass kicked.
Like, what you're saying is, like, basically you don't understand how politics works, which is totally fine. If you impose term limits, all that happens is the true power goes one step back to party apparatchiks and lobbyists who buy politicians. And you don't give people who are not bought and sold opportunities to build their brand and build their cred. Like, the reason why people trust Bernie Sanders is because he's been running and showing himself to be incorruptible for 30 years. If he only had 4 years to do that, he would run, get term limited out, and then he'd get replaced by some fucking machine Democrat. So, like, term limits are not a strategy to actually make the country any better. It's an anti-democratic idea. Like if the people want to vote for someone, they should be able to be the president. If the people want to vote for a representative 10 fucking times, he should be the representative 10 fucking times. You falsely believe that generations have to do with political beliefs. They don't. Political beliefs are dependent upon what individuals believe and the circumstances that people are in. And right now you're seeing that in 4K. Right? You know, young men who 8 years ago were all in on Bernie Sanders. They were all Bernie bros. They were all left-wingers. The next generation, 8 years later, all those young kids are Aiden Ross. They are juicers. They're watching, you know, Asmongold. Like, this is, the reality is the young men are way to the right where they were 8 years ago. Why? Because Bernie Sanders was discredited. And if there's one thing Americans hate, it's a fucking loser. And Bernie Sanders lost twice. And he became a foot soldier of some of the most unlikable centrists ever. And that's what happened. And I hate it, but it's true. So now when you're asking like what could we do for young men, I don't know. We had a chance to have young men be left wing and we fucking squandered it. So now we have to come up with a completely new idea. I don't know what that idea is yet.
Look, hear me out. In 2028, Bernie Sanders will be 87.
Yeah, he's not running.
Come on.
Yeah, he won re-election though.
Like
he won re-election this year,
Chad.
Chad.
To 91 sometimes.
Listen, I would install Bernie Sanders at 100. I don't give a fuck. Okay, like I don't care about age. What I care about is policies. But I also think it would be a good look. Okay, it's not a good look.
So, what are the Democrats? Do you think are they going to do with Joe Biden's last couple months in office? Do you think that they're going to do the whole historic, peaceful transfer of power type shit where they court Donald Trump in the White House?
Yes. Not only that, I think they're going to pass like an anti-Semitism control act. I think they're going to do some sort of thing to like regulate criticizing Israel.
Are they going to do like this? We are going to be united. We need to get behind the president. Democracy has, like, is that what they're going to do?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've already seen some like Lebanon like start to question the integrity of the lot. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just.
What did we do? Delete millions of votes because they didn't stuff the ballot. There were less votes.
I know.
I always find it very funny when people complain about elections, and it's like, motherfuckers, you guys, you know, it's like the third party shit. Every year, Democrats complain about third parties, but you never hear them campaigning for like ranked choice voting. If anything, you see Democrats campaigning against it.
It lost in Oregon.
Like, and that's probably because the Democrats didn't campaign for it.
Because nobody everybody I talked to about ranked choice voting was like, I don't get it. So I voted no. That's 100% of the people that voted no on it were like, I don't get that. No.
First of all, who gives a shit what people understand? This is another thing. The chat, I'm a socialist, but I'm not a slavish Democrat. I don't care what the majority of people think. The majority of people think all sorts of dumbass fucking shit. Okay? I recognize that I know things they don't know. Right choice voting should just be passed as a law. You don't need to have the people vote for it. It's fucking stupid. The Democrats, if they wanted to, could pass it in Oregon as a law. Fucking do it, you dumbasses. The reason why they don't want that is because they feel like it will. Okay, maybe they could just do that. I don't know, but you get my point. I don't know these particularities about every single regulation.
Oregon ballot measure. Hold on, Hassan's hey, Mike.
Yeah,
I got to run here. Hassan's called me. I think it's about the podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
I love having you on, Austin. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Can I just say that the one person who's keeping me sane in this entire cycle, it has actually been Austin Show. The only person that I feel like who has treated me with respect is fucking, and besides Hassan, is Austin. It's actually crazy how disrespected I've been. The more right I get, the more I get disrespected and attacked. It's the flack I'm getting for being right is fucking so disgusting. Obviously, Casey and all my other friends, you guys are all great. Caroline as well. Of course. And he's such a reasonable, intelligent guy. Like, I never feel angry when I talk to him. I could disagree, like, you know, with him about things, but I never feel like I'm being treated like shit. How come liberals can't act like that normally?